welcome back. It is the Danny Dot Podcast. I'm back. I've been on a little adventure and I have got so much to share with you guys today. Oh, my word. It's so funny because last week I was thinking I've got to throw up something onto social media about what the next pod's going to be, or else I'm going to go and have an adventure, absolutely streamline this pod and not talk about anything constructive, I suppose. So yes, we are going to talk about something as, the main topic here, and that is what is the best age and why. I'm one of those chickies that, like, obviously when you're at a pub and you've got like a table of people around you and the conversation sort of dies off, goes quiet, you know the drill. I'll throw some random question up and be like, what's everyone's responses? And there's been some doozies over my life. I've thrown some random shitty questions out. But a couple of weeks ago, I was just sitting with a couple of friends and I said, if we had to think back as to our ages as of, what we've been through, let's not put in a box that we think our 30s or 40s or 20s or whatever was the best age bracket. But as of your age right now, what has been the best year of your life and why? And it's so crazy because even though I put it out on social media, there's so many responses that say the year before I had kids. And I mean, that terrifies me. But quite frankly, I understand completely. There has just been an abundance of responses that were brutally honest. The year that you meet your partner or your husband and it was like the honeymoon period. There's been heaps of people that was saying like still in school. So much is just all around when you make a bad choice and it all turns to shit that year before that happens. So a lot of people actually said before the loss of a loved one, like a grandma or something, or like time cherished before then. It was, that age that they were at where they still hold those memories of that person. So yeah, for myself, I know I put it out there, 19 and 37. I cannot say one or the other is more important. I don't know if you guys know this, but my mum, Sue, she was not kind of strict as such, but she always had this really high value of do not do something until you turn of age so that you can truly enjoy it. And yeah, me and Tom, we definitely pushed the boundaries a little bit, so I'm not denying we definitely drank before we were allowed to turn 18. However, 19 for me was kind of like the year where I had a fair bit of freedom. I was fresh out of high school. I had a job. I was earning money. I was able to stay out and just enjoy myself. I had no responsibilities. It was kind of the year that I really understood alcohol and I was getting into cocktails. And I was not drinking spirits or beer singular. I was drinking multiple Long Island iced teas. I was sort of seeing the bartender, and it was just a real enjoyment phase of my life. Definitely something I look back on now and I think there was a reason behind why mum says that, hang on to turning 18 and being of age to buy alcohol and drink alcohol as opposed to being underage and being caught. I mean, me and Dan, we definitely still have stories. I was in Australia when it was probably like 2003 and he messaged, I think maybe we were using mobile phones back then, but he simply said, I have a bottle of vodka, let's go drink on the playground. I, for the life of me, could not get out of the house that day. Not that mum knew, we were doing other things and I couldn't go and see him to drink the vodka. The next day, I probably heard maybe one or two sentences out of him, and that was simply he got caught, the police caught him, and he was violently ill. So I definitely look back on that and I laugh and I'm like, there is a reason why you're supposed to turn of age and not make those terrible decisions young. And quite frankly, I don't even know where he got the vodka. To this day, I think back and I'm like, well, maybe it even wasn't vodka. I don't know. But anyway, so 19 is definitely the year that I treasure the most. For so many reasons, but mostly just because, I was able to do things free and willingly. And I think a lot of people will agree. When you turn 18, it's kind of like a blur. You get drunk, you make a mess, blah, blah. 18 is where shit got serious and fun and, You could handle things a little bit more. You could go on trips. You could buy alcohol. You could gamble. New Zealand's a little bit open in those senses. So huge up to my mum for obviously keeping me in line until I was of age. Even though I was 6'3", I probably could have brought alcohol a whole lot earlier and get into it a whole lot earlier. I think once it all sort of happened for me, being the first child, also, I kind of set this precedent, like, let's push the boundaries a little bit and let's bring mum along. And for the rest of my whole life, since that whole situation of turning of age, mum's been right there with me. She'll go out, she'll enjoy herself. She is definitely just like her daughter. So, it's just been such a wild ride. But also the flip side of that is I chose 37 because I have been 37 for 2.5 months. You cannot wipe the smile off my face. I'm calling it the best year of my life. So many reasons. I cannot even just speak more highly. And they say that life starts at 40. Everything beforehand is just your learning phase. I'm starting to believe it. Now I can actually say I'm in my late 30s and it's such a vibe. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my whole life and everything is just falling into place so beautifully. I cannot fault anything. I'm making some really great decisions and everything is all falling into line with confidence and huge aspirations as to what next. I know it's only been 2.5 months. I mean, something terrible could happen in the 7th month of being 37. I don't know. But for the most part, I am thoroughly enjoying this age. And I hope that, the people that are listening, if you're in your 20s and 30s, don't put it in a bucket, that you are supposed to have fun in your 20s and 30s. Just enjoy every single age because this is where you're supposed to be at that time in your life. Don't try and beat the age that you are and try and forward think that, you should be doing this at this age. Trust the process and everything happens for a reason. So enjoy yourselves and just go with the flow. I cannot stress that enough. So obviously take that away with you. I just wanted to sort of pop this in here just quickly. Obviously I do throw out weird questions and I have some random responses. But these are mine and this is why. So just off the bat of that, I did hop up to the top of the South Island for a cheeky trip to my godmother's 60th birthday. Nelson was the location. For about 3 days beforehand, I actually had the house to myself, which was rather exciting. But I have realised that I'm a cannonball if I'm not supervised. I was enjoying myself being at home like far too much and it took me back to my apartment days in Brisbane. I just make bad decisions and the first night I was by myself in the house I watched a horror movie. It was Barbarian on Netflix and then I had to watch Air Crash Investigations just to calm my nerves because I am who I am. But no, I was eating irresponsibly. I didn't actually have dinner those 3 days. I was eating cheese and crackers and enjoying wine and just snacking a whole lot. It was weird, a weird 3 days. And then the night before I flew up to Nelson, I had my neighbour Wilson over for a catch up, obviously. We don't go many days without talking about, obviously, weekend antics and all of our bits and pieces because it's just fun. I got really nervous about leaving the bubble. So she came round and we had a couple of wines. I drank a bottle and 1 glass of wine. So you can tell I was nervous. I didn't want to leave. In my mind, I've been having so much fun over the past couple of weekends. Weekends are really great when you've met someone because you obviously get that one-on-one time and there's no work in the middle of it. So for me, I was like stressing a little bit that I was going to be losing a weekend to let something grow. And so, I wasted myself. I got drunk. No regrets, just the next morning when I had to leave and I freaked out. And I think, oh God, anyone that's going to be doing these kinds of things, like don't drink the night before because then it heightens your level of anxiety and it's not okay. So I had to get to the airport and I was using the whole park and ride service and obviously it gets really exciting once you leave the bubble and then you feel like you're on your way. So I was on this big jet up to Christchurch and then transferred to Nelson on a tiny plane. I was more excited just to get to the location than actually like be flying, but I double dosed on ashwagandha to settle my nerves and I was fine. Like there was weird food that Air New Zealand was passing out. Like I don't know if people realize this, but regional flights you get like strange shit and I was all for it. I had some lemon meringue popcorn, God knows why. And just I don't know. I was sitting in my seat, I was looking out the window, nothing seemed to be upsetting me, and that was really wildly different because normally I'm like a mess. I'm hanging on to the armrests and I just want to bring this plane down because I can't deal. I don't know. I've had a whole shift in mentality about flying choices of late, that's for sure. So got up to Nelson and got this rental car, which we were going to hire a Mitsubishi Outlander just because it was like a 7-seater. I opted at the last moment to choose a Kia, and I was thinking, oh, it's more like user-friendly, it's a bit more up with the technology. Oh my gosh, I apologize now if anyone owns a Kia that's listening. Worst car ever. Like, I wanted to bash my head on the steering wheel. It had like lane assist, but I think they turned the volume up super loud in the car to obviously warn travelers that you were leaving the lane and you were going to get alerts for that. The whole time I was just being told to get back in the lane, and I'm not a bad driver, it's just I'm not familiar with Nelson Road, so obviously there was a little bit of like nervousness, that's for sure, but I had to go and do a few odd jobs before I went to the party. So as I'm traveling along and I'm trying to find a spotlight to get some 60 balloons and a cake from a bakery, you've got lane assist going off, you've got stop start going off, all the things I'm very much unfamiliar with, and I'm quite old fashioned in the best sort of sense. So I was getting stressed out and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I've pulled up to the wrong supermarket, I'm at the wrong area to get balloons. Like, it was stressful at best. But no, I got everything together, and I didn't tell you guys, but I brought an inflatable walking frame for my godmum. It was a sentiment of a joke. She's 60. Only I could get away with this because she can't hate me. I'm her goddaughter. So I'm hanging out the back of the boot of this Kia with the balloons almost flying away. They're attached to my wrist at this stage. And I'm blowing up this inflatable walking frame with all these like homeless people walking around me wondering what the hell's going on. Some old guy was laughing at me and I could just, take a step back and laugh because I was like, what am I doing? I managed to get the balloons in the walker frame in the boot of the car, slam the boot shut, and we were off on an adventure to this venue where she lives off-grid, quite a fair way out of Nelson. So I just text Mum, oh, look, I'm 13 minutes away. Make sure you're ready because I'm going to pull up with all, drama as I do. And I kind of came close to the venue a little bit, so I pulled over and I popped the boot of the car and I blew up the inflatable walker a little bit more because I felt like it was a bit soft. It wasn't completely like firm. And I get this phone call from my mum and she's like, are you in a white car? And I says, no, I'm in a blue car. I'll be there in a second. And already I was like, just get me to this damn place. Like, I'm sick of driving. I'm sick of flying. I just want to like wind down and enjoy being at a party. So I pull up this long, long driveway. They can see me coming. They all start coming out of the house. And I got out of the car and I just said, did someone order some party favors? And I popped the boot and this bloody 60 balloons flew out attached to the walker. I swear to you guys, she holding the walker looked like the old dude from the Up movie with the balloons attached to the house. It was the funniest thing. And she has this really hypnotic laugh. Like when she gets laughing, everyone else laughs around her. And it was wildly entertaining to see her walking around with this walker, which she didn't need. She's fit bill of health. But obviously I was the one that was going to pull the prank. And for the rest of the day, obviously, we didn't stop hearing about it because that morning my mum glitter bombed her with a whole handful of glitter, just woke her up and threw it at her. So between me and mum, we were like this terrible twosome that were just causing absolute mayhem up in Nelson. We had a couple of drinks. It was all cool. We went to this restaurant. The food was delicious. I had pork belly marinated in whiskey. Cannot say no to that. It was a weird chef's special. And then we went down to this karaoke bar, and I go to karaoke more often than not on a Thursday night at our local pub. It's only kind of recently I've stopped just because I feel like I'm going to the pub too much. But this karaoke bar was off the chain. I think it was called The Star. And there was an ongoing lineup of people to get up on that stage. And I'm telling you, like, the best of the best voices. I turned my chair around and I was drinking and I looked around and I thought, I'm going to pretend like I'm on Nelson's Got Talent or some shit and give these people a good old rating, because it was crazy. And the people that were singing were coming up to me and they were saying, oh, they've been doing karaoke here for years and I just sing the same songs every week. And I was like, holy shit, there is some hidden talent up here in Nelson and it needs to be found, because their voices are crazy. Now, look, if people are familiar with the Nelson Motueka region, it is very woo-woo in the crystal sense. It's quite hippie and laid back. So, obviously, whilst I was back in Cromwell in the earlier days, Mum had taken the 60-year-old birthday girl to get a tarot reading or a psychic reading, which is something that's kind of interesting to all of us, because I would love to know if certain people are in my area, I think. And Mum the next morning says to me that in her reading, she was told that I had allowed a negative energy to enter the house in Cromwell because I'm so welcoming, which blew my mind, quite frankly, because I was thinking, who's in the house? What are you talking about? And she was like, no, we have to go and buy some sage. I've been given like a whole thing to read out, but you've introduced someone into the house that shouldn't be there. And I was like, this is wild. Because quite frankly, the noises that I hear and all the stuff that I've shared with you guys over the years, I always just put down to it being my nana or my brother, Jack. So we toddled to this crystal shop, which was absolutely crazy. Oh my God, I've never seen this crystal shop so intense in all my life. My hips started hurting. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm getting like weird energies from all this shit. And I'm not one of those people that cares about it. But the minute I walked into the shop, I felt uneasy. There was weird stuff everywhere, and I was making jokes about sound baths and yonis and chakras and third eyes, and just I was trying to have fun. I was awkwardly entertaining because I didn't know what to expect. We brought our sage and I was like, oh, here we go. The house is going to smell like roast lamb. But no, she was dead set, you guys. She's freaking out. She thinks that I'm just too of a welcoming person and I have to settle down and stop talking about this shit because people are coming in that shouldn't be, which, I don't know. It's enough. So between the previous day landing and having all these adventures, dinners, karaoke, drinking, rah. The next day was the actual full day in Nelson, so we got to do a bit of exploring. We went into the CBD area, had some lunch, did a bit of shopping. It was kind of just exactly what I needed to switch off. And obviously when you're in a routine, it's quite difficult to do. So there was always me thinking, oh, what am I missing back home? But eventually it slid off. And it's quite funny because I had a couple of wines and my godmum, she actually said to me, have you met someone? And I thought, are you joking? How do you know that? I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. And she was like, because, I don't know, there's just something really off about you. You're just a bit different and you're glowing. And I just had to ask if you've met someone. And I thought, this is crazy. What do you mean? Anyway, she absolutely picked up on it. And it was really like a bit of an eye-opener, more or less. So I told her the situation about what I've been up to recently. You guys know I've been brutally honest about my nights out recently, so there's no hiding that. And she's like, are you joking? You're doing all these crazy things and you're just flying under the radar a little bit. And I says, I absolutely am. I've been going on dates. I've had dinner dates. I've been having coffees brought to my house. I've been having guys hold my hand. I've been making out with random guys. She was wildly entertained, and she just said to me, I can't even believe this. You're someone that absolutely will not take shit from anyone. Walls are up. Nah, don't come near me. I don't want to ever deal with anyone else's bullshit. And I said, I know. One of these people has gotten under my skin and it's stressing me out. So we had this big chat. And the funny thing is that last Wednesday, when I was leaving on the Thursday morning, I said to him I was going away. I didn't say when I was going to be back. So I came back on Sunday. I still haven't heard from him since Wednesday, which is absolutely crazy. And I just think unless it's like a new thing I don't know, small town, or is it like just a new communication style? But I'm finding it very common that unless you're in front of a person or they know that you're nearby, you don't hear from them. It's so outrageous. I hate it. It's like, because I'm not in Australia, I lose communication with a lot of people until I'm actually in Australia. And it's the same here. And I just think, I'm like, what the frig? Like, how can you be so in my brain like 24/7? I go away and I'm thinking about you and I want to share these experiences. And I'm like, oh my God, my godmum would love to meet him. And yet he hasn't spoken a word since Wednesday when he thinks he doesn't know when I'm actually coming back to Cromwell. So, yeah, it's almost a week and I don't really know how to feel about it, but I'm wildly entertained. And I was saying to her, you know, a lot of people have said true to mean keep 'em keen. And I cracked up because I'm not emotionally available at the best of times. So quite frankly, I'm not a needy person. And I think that's been a big downfall for myself because I could easily switch off any instance. And I'm not an obvious affectionate person. I definitely shy away and I don't care, you know? So maybe I'm coming across right now that I'm like too busy or whatever. I've been posting on social media. He's been watching. There's, you know, things happening. And I'm not someone to check on that shit. It's just every now and then someone comments on it and I look at who's looked at something because it says in the views, great photo or whatever. So I am just wildly freaking out because you guys, in a weird way, I don't want to make the first move since I've been back. But quite frankly, I've been back for quite a while, 2 days. Well, yeah, 2.5. And I'm just going to let bygones be bygones and see how long I can stretch it out for and see how long he doesn't pipe up and say anything because he thinks I'm away. I haven't posted that I'm back, but yesterday I had to collect the keg because my brother has this new keg kitchen contraption thing where you can put a keg in and there's taps and everything else. So I was at Super Liquor in Cromwell picking up the keg and I posted about it because it was funny. I thought, oh my God, why am I the delivery person of a damn keg? Anyway, still nothing. So I don't know. It bothers me, but it doesn't at the same time because he's not mine to worry about. This isn't an exclusive situation. It just throws me off sometimes that someone thinks that you're not important to them. And that's probably where I'm going with this is I'm like, how is it unless you're in front of them under their nose and you tell them to their face that they mean something to you and you appreciate them, does, you know, a couple of days of absenteeism just, I don't know, doesn't mean anything. And I feel like when we do come back together and connect again, there's going to be this like, I don't know, weird, how was it kind of an environment. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't care about Nelson. Of course I care about it, but it was weird. You know, I'm away for 4 days, 3 nights and I don't hear from you. I don't know. I'd be so psycho if he met someone or something came up or I don't even know. But yeah, that's what I'm dealing with at the minute on the boy sense, the boy update. But no, it's cool. It's a surface level thing at the moment. I'm not falling head over heels. I've definitely got so much going on in my own life and so much confidence in myself that I'm like, you know what? I don't care. It was fun. If it's not that serious and you want to switch off on this, so be it. But quite frankly, I enjoy your company and I enjoy hearing from you. So anyway, moving on. So that afternoon, me and Mum, we decided to take the rental car off-road in Nelson. That was, what was that, Friday afternoon. I was so weirded out because it wasn't the weekend. And so we found out that there was like a river down the end of the street where my godmum lived. And we decided we were going to take the rental car down because, I don't know, it was scenic. I don't know. I should have walked. I didn't. We were wandering down and out of the blue, took a couple of photos. There was a rainbow starting. It was all exciting. And then lo and behold, come back to the fence line and someone had locked us in with this massive bolt across the fence. And I'm shitting my undies. Like, I said to Mum, what does the sign say? And I leaned over the fence and I could see security surveillance operation in progress. Trespassers will be prosecuted. And I'm like, we were gone 8 minutes. 8 minutes this took. and we were locked in. So I started freaking out. Mum jumped the fence, goes running up about 700 meters behind this like big barn shed thing. Obviously, someone was on the property that could actually like unlock us. They just refused to. So there was this old guy watching me, and I'm sitting there with my foot like about to be put down on this rental car to just fly through the fence. Like, I don't give a shit. I've paid insurance. I'll fly through the fence to keep safe. And Mum's like gallivanting around looking for someone to undo the bolt. Well, she runs up the like little driveway thing a little bit further, and there's some guys that start coming towards the fence with a forklift, and I'm like, oh, hell, child. Like, I'm either going to die, there's going to be a human centipede situation going on, or some Wolf Creek stuff. Like, this is how I'm going to die. I made an audio note to Dan in the car. Like, I haven't heard it back because I was just absolutely terrified. And sometimes when I just sort of panic about things, I just pretend like I'm like calming myself down by sending him an audio note. It must have sounded like such a lunatic. Like, we've gone to check out this, river, and I don't give a shit about a damn river. And here we are with some old dude that's trying to like lock us in and keep us there overnight. And it's getting late. It's like I'm freaking out. So all of a sudden, Mum comes back to the car with this forklift, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, what does she expect me to do? When this big tradesman appears from nowhere, lifts the fence off the bolts and lets me out. And I wind the window down and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I apologize now. I didn't really mean that I didn't know that was private property. Can you let the owner know? Oh my gosh, you guys. He looked like Jigsaw. No, not Jigsaw. Who's the dude from Saw? Is it? No, the dude from Saw with the mask. He was wearing overalls, like he was just a big tradesman, and it caught me off guard. I'm not going to lie, I freaked out. And I said to Mum, get in the car right now, we're going. It was the one time that I was like yelling at her, and she was like trying to apologize, and I said, I don't even care. Get in the car. We're going now. So put it on Facebook, which is something I don't normally do. I don't really care for these types of situations. But I was panicked. And the whole time I'm sitting in the car and I'm thinking about, like, what's the police phone number for New Zealand? Because I don't know. I've been in that many countries lately. I'm like, is it 000? Is it 123? Is it 111? Is it 911? I don't know. I'm the worst. I'm the worst, you guys. And I'm a mess. So anyway, on the final day of being up in Nelson, which was Saturday morning, we ventured out to Motueka. And Motueka is kind of like where all the hippies lie. It's a small, quaint wee town about 20 minutes out of Nelson, and we were walking back to the car. I thought this guy was talking to this chick, and I'm telling you now, you guys, I am one of those people that would talk to anyone, but I realized that he was on something or coming down off something. And he came up to about my hip. He was quite short. And he turned around and he says, do you want to go me? You go me, I'll go you. And I looked at him and I had to stop myself, guys, because I was about to say, go where? And it wasn't until Mum like jabbed me in the side. She was like, shut up. Don't say anything. But I said to her, like, if he started me, like, I'd kick him in the nuts. Like, honestly, he would be like a stick and I'm a twig. Like I'm a tree and he's a stick. It was the difference in our statures was outrageous. And I can't believe he had the guts to turn around and say he wanted to go me. I was crazy. So anyway, we got into the rental car and we started driving back to the airport to drop it off when I got text message from Air New Zealand to say that fog was in Christchurch, the weather, fog, and the flight had been cancelled. So we didn't rush. We just sort of dawdled back and had the rental car for an extra hour and did a bit more exploring, which, it's fun. It's fine. We enjoy looking around and stuff. But in a way, I sort of wanted to get to Christchurch because for me, Christchurch is home. I know everywhere and I don't feel lost. And quite frankly, driving this rental car was doing my head in. The alarms were going off left, right and centre. It was stressing me out. But we did eventually land back in Christchurch for the evening. I actually had an appointment to go test drive the Jaguar, my car that I was wanting to purchase. So I had to ring them and say, look, sorry, fog kept me away, but if anyone's around on Sunday, I'll be available to pop in. If not, that's fine. I'll just come and check it out physically or externally. So managed to get up to Sumner Beach where my auntie lives and have a couple of wines with her. And we had some dinner, which is always special. Obviously, any opportunity to see family is just, top tier on my list. Of course I want to do that. So that was really cool. Spent the night up on the hill. And then the next day we went for a bit of a retail therapy shop around Christchurch. Didn't buy anything, but I think since COVID, I've just learned to buy online, and especially where I live, I just don't really do anything in store, and it's quite overwhelming. My sense, like I have a heightened sense of like awareness when I'm in a store, especially like Chemist Warehouse. It's too stressful. So we went to the car dealership and there was someone there and I got to test drive it, and Mum was just standing there and she says, you wouldn't have wanted it if you didn't test drive it, but now you've been in it. Now you've got an attachment. And I was like, shit. So yeah, it's mine. I have got a few things to do before I go and collect it. I did prefer to want to sell my vehicle before I got it, just because I don't need two cars at home. That's a bit stupid. But there's just the whole thing of like obviously selling it down here or trading it in Christchurch and actually getting to Christchurch. So there's a few things going on at the moment. But we did eventually land back in Queenstown Sunday afternoon. It was a pretty eventful flight, to be quite honest. There was a guy to my right. I was on the aisle and he had a bit of a stomach issue and he kept popping off. Mum thought it was me. And I was just sitting there, and when I'm really like I don't know what to do, I just start laughing. So you can imagine me sitting there like a seal just clapping, because I just thought the whole thing was so funny, but obviously I didn't know what else to do. What was I going to do, like cry? I can't. I tried to keep it to myself for as long as I could until Mum thought I was the one dropping my guts. It's so he apologized and I was like, no mate, you go for it, it's all good. Don't do that again though, because I find it very irresponsible if someone farts when you're on a flight, because you have nowhere to go. And there was quite a bit of turbulence. Mum was not coping with the whole bounciness of the plane. So yeah, look, obviously we wanted to get this thing down on the runway and land. So when I went to get off the plane, I was like, who was the learner pilot? Sorry, in New Zealand, but it was stressful. I didn't care, of course. I double dosed ashwagandha again, so I didn't even know what was going on. Couldn't tell my left from my right. I was just relaxed. They actually handed out these weird chips called pea puffs. And the lady was like, do you want a pea puff? And I was like, I beg your pardon. I've since found out they sell them at Woolies. They're like these weird organic twisties, I suppose you could say. Trust Air New Zealand to come at you with the weird shit, eh? It's so funny. I've just laughed this whole couple of days away. I just thought, what? If you don't laugh, you cry. Or in his case, you fart. I don't know. Anyway, that was my little experience in Nelson for 2 nights before we flew down to Christchurch. It was cool. I really rated it. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Obviously, I've got my mum's 60th coming up in about, 65 days or something. So I've got a whole lot of people coming to us. But I definitely want to get out there and explore New Zealand a little bit more, because there's so much to experience and so many fun people to meet. I have a lot of people obviously say to me, you can't be mad about people, because at the end of the day, if you don't like someone, there's 5 million others to meet. And I'm like, I cannot agree with that statement more. It cracks me up. It's just sometimes when you live in a small town, you feel like these are the only people you can mingle with, which is absolutely not the case. And some sound advice from my godmum the other day was, obviously, I don't know if she's kind of like trying to give me a bit of a rev start or a shunt in the right direction, but she said, Danny, imagine if this was your last day of being single, how would you spend it? And I got the shits. I was like, are you joking? Why would you say that? She said, because you're beaming. And I'm like confused. And I just want you to be like, are you excited to move into this next chapter? And I was like, I have a guy that is not texting me and thinks I'm away. So obviously this cracks me up. And she was just laughing. She's like, well, obviously it makes you happy, but imagine if this was your last single day, how would you spend it? And I was like, man, the older generation think real weird about dating, eh? It's so funny. But yeah, obviously I just wanted to put that out there because it cracked me up and I thought, you are wild. If that's where I've been getting my advice from, you can imagine I am the reason that I am right now, right? I mean, it all makes sense. You guys had some sound Lionsgate ideas. I was so impressed. Mine looks so lame compared to yours, but I hope everyone got them in between the 8th and the 12th of August. It was very important to get in that window in submitting your 5 that you wanted to have happen in a year. 5 was a bit of a stretch. I pulled my list out. Where is it gone? I think I put it away again. I actually was rushing that morning of the 8th, obviously, to catch a flight, so I missed collecting my piece of paper and rereading it. It played on my mind the whole time I was away, and I was just sitting there like, what were my 5? Like, why can I not remember this? I'm sure I had 4 that I knew that I had done, but the 5th one was freaking me out. But yeah, no, I absolutely killed it. I killed it. I got all 5 of mine, which I'm thrilled with. And do you know what the weirdest thing is? Love wasn't on my list. I'm sitting here and I just thought, wow, I didn't even put that into the future forecast. Love was not on my mind. That just blows my mind because it's something that I'm so, I don't know, caught up in at the moment. I'm enjoying so many aspects of being loved, in love, loving something, focusing that energy. It's not directed at anyone. It's just, I don't know, it blew my mind. I thought, why have I done this? And mine were mostly about financial aspects and how the future me would want to be perceived. So obviously not taking shit from friends, putting myself into safe environments, feeling really supported, and obviously those things have all come true. The support that I have right now and how I've put future me first blows my mind. And I feel like you're all on the same path because even though mine were not so descriptive, I didn't know what I was doing a year ago. I was simply putting out into the universe that in a year's time, this is what I would like to see happen. This time round, I sat on my bed and I had a bit of a think about it, and I was obviously just focusing on how I could grow from the 5 that I put out there and just really initiate change. And I'm so proud of myself and my 5 that obviously you guys are on the same sort of understanding as well. You had heaps of descriptions and ideas for me, so we're all doing it, which is crazy, and I'm so impressed. Again, it's just something that this podcast has made us all aware of, and we're growing together. It's phenomenal. I'm so impressed. On that note, I think we have 3 podcasts to go for the year of 2024. It's been the best wild ride of my life. I'm enjoying every single week catching up with you guys. I hope you just enjoy this as well. I've been listening to heaps of pods lately, but obviously no one really has a deep dive on someone's life. It's all, knowledge and advice and everything else, which is great in some aspects. Obviously, we all want to learn and level up our lives. But what's actually going on a deeper level and how people navigate situations and day-to-day life. So here's a little pod just to put you in a bit of an understanding as to how my time in Nelson went. It was funny. I laughed the whole time. Just loved catching up with my godparent. She's crazy and she never changes. But obviously she had some really good advice for me moving forward with boy stuff, and she picked up on it, which is, crazy. On that note, I will leave you guys for another week, and I will see you again next Tuesday. Take care, make good choices, and as always, Danny Dot signing off. Bye!